So this one looks a little bit different because it's a Range Rover Classic, not a Defender or a Series that we usually talk about. Underneath it's much the same system, but when I take you for a drive, you can see underneath, and you can see that you could have an electric conversion in something that looks a little bit more road-like. Right, so we're inside now, and I thought I'd take you for a little spin, and I thought we'd start off on these little sort of country lanes because it's quite Range Rover-y actually around here. Actually where our workshop is very Range Rover. I mean, look at this road. This screams 75 plate Range Rover. This is obviously something more like the 80's. It's actually fairly late. I think it's like late 80's. They were making them until sort of early 90's. But it's quite nice being up here because you can see over the hedgerows. Look at these country manors. It's not the best example. There are some real nice ones around here. Like, let's look at here. Yeah, nice. Very Range Rover. Look, even the verges are cut with, you know, it looks all very smart around here. So, what a perfect place to test drive an electric Range Rover. Now, let's not forget that when this car arrived with us, it had a V8 petrol, which basically all it did was make noise. It was really loud. It was actually, sounded almost cool, but the smoke out the back wasn't that cool. And the reason this car is actually with us, it was purchased by the client because the car didn't have an MOT. It couldn't pass an MOT without basically switching the engine over. And that was because of a really bad oil leak, ironically. And it's almost a case of, well, you can fix it and fix it and fix it and fix it and fix it, but that engine is nearly 40 years old now. It's sort of ready for the bin, so why not take the rest of it, which was actually in good shape, like the chassis, etc., and just give it the EV treatment. It is still a Range Rover, and it's still an 80's Range Rover. You can hear, well, I think in this era things were very much made of plastic, so you can see all this plastic cloth seats, which need a little bit of love. Not on us, you know, that we would literally just do the conversion, but it's very 80's in here. But underneath, it's very 21st century because it can do this. 0 to 60 about 6 seconds, which, considering the amount of noise it used to make before, to do that completely quietly is pretty unbelievable. Look, the steering is still very vague, let's put it. The brakes are fine, they've been redone. Suspension's fine, that's all been redone. But it is still a Range Rover. And look how high we are, literally above the hedgerows here. Which you don't really get in other cars, so maybe quite a nice little touch. Anyway, we're gonna pull over and show you some underneath bits, under the bonnet, that kind of thing. Because this one is fully spec'd. It's got aircon, which is basically our only spec, isn't it? But aircon is a cool thing I'll show you underneath. Battery pack, motor, all that kind of fun stuff. So in fact, I'm gonna put it right here and we will show you the outside. Right, so 4-door, pretty standard outside. You know, the paintwork's not great. I don't know if it's original. I don't think it's an original color, but the Range Rover boffins amongst you will know that. Under here, it's quite similar to what you've seen before. So the same battery pack, 55 kilowatts in here. We're finding that this gets much better range than the Defenders. And part of that will be more sensible tires. These aren't really that sensible, but they're more sensible than some of the other Defenders you'll have seen us do recently. Maybe it's a little bit better aerodynamically. I'm not sure about that. I guess it's less sort of vertical, but I don't know why. It's just it's doing more miles, which is only a good thing. So that's all in there. Although the chassis is much the same as our Defenders, it is a different frame setup. So there's slightly different heights, slightly different angles. You'll actually notice that this battery pack is kind of tilted back a little bit just for clearance issues on this rubber seal there. So we had to make it really close that we could just get the manual service disconnect out. So also under here, obviously a different radiator system. The engine bay is actually quite a lot shorter. So we've lost a lot of this space that we have in the Defenders. So that's cooling there. Header tanks on the side like they are on the Series. Whereas in a Defender, they're actually in the front because you have that, I don't know, 6 inches, 10 inches, a little bit more there. Heating, we've spoken about that in a previous video. So liquid heating going into the original heater matrix, and therefore all the original switching, all that kind of stuff working. Power steering, brake vac in this nice little cubby here. This is actually, is this where the 12 volt battery used to be? Yeah, this is where the 12 volt battery used to be. But it's basically this big crevice. So we thought, right, let's sneak some things in there. But all things you've seen before, all things I've spoken about before. Where we do start seeing differences is here. So have a look at this charge socket. This is actually doing nothing. This is just a plug. This is our DC charging socket, which is this bottom thing. So these two here are allowing for the 70 kilowatt charging speed. The reason it's under here, and sometimes you may think, oh, it's a bit annoying that we've got a charge cable coming under the bonnet, but this is only for rapid charging. Reason being, this car has 2 charge sockets. The main one being here. So standard type 2. And that, funnily enough, is exactly the same size as the fuel filler hole. So you don't even have to modify the body. You literally put the 4 bolts where the 4 bolts on the fuel filler is. That's kind of a great coincidence from us, but it means we haven't had to cut away. If we did have to put the type 2 socket in it, we would have to cut away this whole part of the bodywork here, and then it's not reversible. We don't really like to do that kind of thing. In fact, we don't do that kind of thing. So we were better off saying, you know what, let's have 2 charge sockets. That one is 99% of the time at home, on a lamppost, any slow charging, granny charger at your granny's house. This is your 1%er. When you're doing that fast charge on the side of the motorway, and you want to just fire some power in which case leave the bonnet open or rest the bonnet down onto the charger. It's really not a big enough deal to warrant cutting a hole in this nice 80s Range Rover body, which I wouldn't really think would be that fair, considering everything else is reversible here. What else under here? Couple of nice modern touches, like a 12 volt battery disconnect. So if the brief of this car is it's actually going to the client's holiday home, which is in Italy, he can turn off the battery and the 12 volt won't drain over, I don't know, the whole winter, when he probably won't be using it in the winter. If it did drain, 2 nice jump start points there, just to make life really easy for the customer if he's only using it sort of as a seasonal car, which makes sense. That's everything in there. Underneath, Tesla Model 3 motor, about 280 horsepower in this, so really fast. And that's, I think, the main thing that I like about this car, is that you can sit on the motorway and honestly do 70 mile an hour, not 80. And it's just smooth, and it just keeps going, and it's quiet, and it's just nice. Whereas in a Defender, as Defender owners will know, when you're doing 70, it starts getting a little bit rattly and a bit vibrating and a little bit scary. In these, you really don't have that. I guess it's designed a bit more of a Range Rover, i.e. long distance vehicle, which is quite cool. So that's something I really like about it. Other than that, air conditioning is the other thing that was spec'd in this. Because it's going to Italy and it's so hot there in the summer, we had to spec aircon. Now this car didn't have aircon originally, so that makes it actually quite difficult. But aircon is hidden under there where the fuel tank used to be. In fact, you can probably just see that. That's a high voltage aircon compressor, a blower unit back there, evaporator, condenser. The whole system is back there, obviously fed by the 400 volt battery system, and then vents come forward into the footwells. So you can probably see one here. There you go. So there's a new aircon vent rather than it coming out of the original vent. It's actually very, very hard to do. So the car has full aircon, full heating, everything you could want in your Range Rover. It's even got electric windows, which isn't like us. Obviously not done by us. But then in the middle there, if you go in there, I can show you. The interior is very 80s Range Rover. But the same center panel there, the same plastics, but instead of gear sticks coming out of here, we have controls, electric handbrake, aircon, heating, eco mode, all that kind of stuff. But original switching and original heater controls and blower controls all stay as they are. So we don't really want to play with the Range Rover too much. You should be able to get into this and not really see much difference. Last thing is the gauges there. So in the original binnacle with the original center panel for indicators, high beams, headlights, that kind of thing, but showing battery level and speed this time through a GPS speedometer rather than some sensor off the gearbox transfer box somewhere. Obviously she needs a headlining, but other than that, she's completely done with us. She's going to Italy, lucky girl. But being a really nice project, thought people might want to see them, because we don't do that many Range Rovers, and that's only because we're not asked very often. For us, it's the same price, £60,000, or $85,000, $87,000 for a kit. But yeah, a beautiful car, worth seeing, and give us a call if you would like one. Thanks for watching.